Hi there, Mark here again, and welcome to part 3 of my build guide for the fantastic new Lunchbox Evo on the CW01E chassis. Now last time we finished up all the parts in parts bag B, so that took us up to step 24. So we're now going to open parts bag C, get all your bits in a box and get cracking with step 25, which is making the front dampers or shock absorbers. So to build the front shocks from start to finish, you need to do step 25, which is this, which we'll go through in a sec. Step 26, which is putting the oil in. And then step 27, which is installing the springs and the spring retainer, and there's a ball joint and a screw going in there. So what I'll do is I'll get this out of the way and I'll go through just on the bench so we can see it a bit more clearly. As usual, I've already built one up, so I've had a practice. This is what it's going to look like when you're finished. And I've put together on the bench all the parts that we're going to need to build one of these front shocks. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make up the shaft and the piston, and that means putting on, I don't think you can see them here, these two tiny little E-clips. Bear with me, I'm going to do my best, but they go into the slots at the top of the shaft. Kind of get it lined up and get yourself a pair of pliers and try and snap it on without shooting it across the room. Just a little click there, that's the one on. Plastic part X10, it's got the 3 holes in that valve that goes over the rod, and now we've got to try and wrestle that other E-clip onto the top. This one does tend to be more difficult than just putting it on without, whoops, there you go. As I was saying, put it on without that valve in the way. Just makes it that little bit more tricky. There we go, this third time lucky. Now on these front shocks you've got to put this tiny part, so a spacer, which is X11. Make sure you put it on now so you don't forget, because I forgot on the first shock. I will have you know. Then we're going to get part Y3, which is the body, and it doesn't say you have to do this, but I always put a little bit of silicone grease in the bottom just to help those O-rings seal. So you've got to put 2 O-rings in. These are the little red ones, so there's your first one. Pop that in. As I always say, a little bit more grease. Pop in your other O-ring, seal that ending with a tiny bit more grease, then pop on Y1, your bottom cap, but don't screw it all the way up because we've got to put the piston rod through those O-rings and we don't want those to be damaged. And this is where I'm going to deviate from the instructions. It does tell you to put this piston all the way through into the shock body, but what I'm going to do is what I usually do to stop any bubbles or less chance of getting bubbles. I'm just going to put it into the hole so it just pops through, but obviously it's blocking those O-rings now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up as much as I can with your shock oil, with the piston just sticking out the top like that. As I said, that means that as you push the piston in there won't be any air trapped underneath, and hopefully you should get far less bubbles than you would otherwise. So fill it nearly to the top and just slowly push that in. I don't know if you'll be able to see on camera, but there we go. So I pulled that down. I cannot see any bubbles in that oil. So pull it right to the bottom, that shaft, and then top it up. Wait for any bubbles that might be there to rise, in this case there aren't, so then get your red cap, your diaphragm, top cap, put that over. You want oil to actually come out because I overfilled it a little bit, but you want it like that to make sure that the shock body is completely full of oil. Okay. Then get your top cap, which is Y2, and then you can screw these up against each other. As I say, this is slightly out of sequence to how it tells you to do it in the manual, but I've built that many of these, I'm pretty sure this is the best way to do it. Just give that a wipe off and get any oil off the screw threads with a bit of tissue. Then get part X3, your plastic spacer, make sure you put that on. Then you want plastic part X1, which is your lower shock ball joint, 5mm ball joint hole in it, and screw that onto the threads. Be careful because this plastic part has got a thread already cut into it, so make sure you don't cross thread that. And then I'm just going to nip it up by holding these flat nose pliers. They've got no jewels on them that could affect the shock shaft, so just don't go too crazy doing this up though, so just a good nip up will do. Get your front shock spring, make sure you get the one with the wider coils, not the tighter together coils that are used for the back. So this is a lighter spring for the front. Plastic part X5 is the collar. Just put the slot through the shaft and that should just locate in that bottom eye, and there you go. That is almost finished, because we've got one more thing to do with this, and that's fit this bottom ball nut, that piece there. So we're just going to pop that into the bottom hole there. There she goes. And then you've got your 3x18 countersunk screw, machine thread, and that's got to go in not through the side with the hex, but through the side that's got no hex. So I'm going to screw that into there and screw this all the way through. And it does say in the manual to tighten this screw fully, so what I'm going to do is get my box spanner, just pop that onto the hex part of that ball joint, or ball nut as I should say, and just give that screw a nice nip up. As I said, make two, that's your front shocks done. In step 28 we're going to attach those front shocks or dampers, and it does show in the diagram fitting the bottom of the dampers first to the lower arms, so I will do that. First we've got to attach that captured bolt or screw to the top hole in the upright, and I've just tried and it won't push through. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to screw it all the way into that hole, which is a little bit tedious. It's going to be quite difficult for me to show you this, so I'll give you a good look at it when it's finally in place. Okay, with that screwed all the way in, it does take a while. You need to get you another ball connector nut, and that needs to go onto the end of that screw or bolt. We'll just tighten that up. I think it's called a bolt, isn't it, if it's got a nut on the end? I think that's how the terminology works. So make sure you tighten that up. And the next part is really quite tricky. Not in terms of complexity, but just it's a bit tricky, so we've got to get that top hole into that metal bracket. First what you need to do is to get your flange tube that's got a colour on it, and it shows pushing that in from the back at the top of the shock there, and we've got to get that into the bracket without losing it. And then it's your 3x12 machine screw, goes through the hole in the front and hopefully through that flange tube, if I can just wrestle it into place. There we go, I just think it's just gone through. Like I said, it's really fiddly, and somehow now we've got to get the 3mm flange nut onto the back of that screw. Try and hold that in place. Yeah, we've got it located, and yeah, because there's some grips on that flange nut, you don't need any pliers or a wrench, you can just tighten that up. Okay, so one more thing, I'm going to jump forward to what it shows to do in the next step. Just get your top control arm here, or your upper arm, and just pop that onto that ball joint there that we've just put on the bottom shock mount. Okay, so I think I'm going to need a pair of pliers for this. Oh, there we go. Again, a very tight push. And yeah, well, that's the one side done. Repeat exactly the same, but the opposite for the other side. I'm not going to try and film that on camera, I tell you. But there you go. There it is, actually done, both sides. And we should now have working suspension. So, on to the next step. Next is step 29, which is attaching the front bumper, which is this great big thing. You've got these 3 holes here that are going to attach with 3 screws. There are 3 3x12s with a 3mm washer on each. It shows clipping the upper arms on, but we've just done that. Okay, so it's a piece of cake. Fit it onto the front there. And hold it with the first screw in the middle first. As I said, don't forget that washer. And it's simply another 3x12 in this hole, and the third one, again with your washer on, in this hole. And that's the end of that step. Step 30 is attaching the front body mounts, which are these 2 little plastic pieces, A6 and A5, with again 2 3x12 self tappers. So it's important to get these right. This one is part A5. There, make sure you get the right one, and that goes right here on the chassis above the shock. Should locate there like that, and I'll just get the 3x12 in. Here we go. When that's in, turn the chassis round. Got that same hole on the opposite side. This time it's plastic part A6, and again that just sits in place like so, and again your 3x12 to just lock that in place. Step 31 is adjusting the toe angle. Basically it's telling you to get the steering shafts to be in a straight line with each other, as you can see there, and to adjust those, if yours aren't straight, you need to adjust these tie rods. So you just have to pop the ball end off and either undo or do up the end of the ball end and pop it back on again until it's straight. But luckily for me, mine are pretty straight, just as it was built. Step 32 is making up the rear dampers, and as you can see, I've already made mine up. I'm not going to go through the process of making these rear shocks up, because the process is exactly the same as the front ones, with just a couple of differences that I'll mention to make sure you don't miss. So for these, you don't need those 2 plastic spacers that we had in the front shocks. You see F11 and F3, one goes inside the shock and one goes outside the shock body. You don't need those. But as it shows here, you've got your 3mm O-ring, your little orange O-ring, so you would need an extra one of those that you pop onto the shock shaft outside of the shock body itself. You can probably just see that there. And of course you want the longer, more tightly wound springs rather than the wider space coils that go on the front. And lastly, we don't have to put a ball joint and a screw through the bottom eye of the shocks. As it shows in step 34, I did fit on the shock spacer, which is X7, because otherwise the spring flaps around a little bit, so just pop that on. I didn't use any on the fronts, but obviously I'll find out when I start running the car whether it needs any more preloading or not. So yeah, we'll leave that till the test run. So there you go, those are done. We're just going to go to step 35 now, and we're going to pop those rear shocks onto the chassis. Hopefully this won't be too difficult. You can see the top mounting there, the ball joint. So we're going to hopefully try and pop that on with my thumb. Yep, that wasn't too difficult. Here's a bit of a tighter squeeze to get that in there though. And the other end, it shows to use pliers to pop onto that ball joint on the gearbox case, but no, that's gone on okay. So that's the first one. Obviously it's exactly the same for the other side. A bit more space for this one without those extra lugs sticking out, so yeah, that popped on easily. Yep, there you go. And now we've got working rear suspension. Woohoo! Steps 36, 37, 38 and 39 is putting the tyres onto the rims and putting the wheels onto the chassis itself. So I'll just do that all in one go, and I've got a bit of a surprise for you. So here are the stock wheels, and on one sprue you get a front and a rear. You can see the difference there. That's the rear, and there's the front where you've got to put the bearings in, and obviously we have to pop the tyre on. But I'm not going to do that because I've been sent these absolutely beautiful alloy or aluminium wheels from my friend Dave in Sheffield. Thanks Dave, these look fantastic and I think it's really going to set off my Lunchbox Evo. But don't worry, if you're following this guide, they are exactly the same size and fitment, and the tyres go on exactly the same, in exactly the same way. Here's another one of the fronts. As you can see, that's the inside, and what I'm going to do is, you see the tread chevrons are pointing forwards there. So get this so it's matching, so that both of the insides are pointing towards each other, the insides of the wheels. And then make sure, again, your chevrons are pointing forward, so when putting on the car they're going to go in the same direction. And it's simply a case of feeding the tyre through the rim, or feeding the tyre over the rim I should say, and just make sure that that bead seats all the way around. It's very easy to do, as you can see, and then pull this side outwards. Again, don't use too much force, you don't really need to, and as I say, you can hear it pop onto the rim, and yeah, do that to all four. So step 37 is fitting the rear wheels. You're going to need these plastic parts B5, and you're also going to need, and do not forget these, the little F5 kind of plastic bushes. Your bearings will fall out if you don't put those in. I know, because I've seen a big YouTuber do that. And you need your two 10mm shafts and your two 4mm lock nuts. First put on F5 onto the shaft, then your 10mm shaft goes through the hole. And B5, you can see that cross there, you've got to slot one of those pairs of recesses over the pin. There you go. Simply get your rear wheel, and you've got to line up these lugs on the wheel there with the holes in that part B5. There you go. You can feel it's locked in place. And it's simply 4mm lock nut, and simply tighten that up until the nylon part of the thread bites onto the shaft or onto the threads, and that's not going anywhere. Obviously exactly the same for the other side. There you go, that's the rear wheels fitted. Step 39 in fitting the front wheels is even easier. Just get your wheel, you've got your 1150 bearing, there you go, pop that one in one side and one all the way down there in the other side. A nice tight fit in these alloy wheels, and then simply put it on the shaft, and again it's your 4mm lock nut, and obviously exactly the same for the other side. And there we have it. I'm calling that chassis finished, and doesn't it look great with those alloy wheels? Thanks a lot for that, Dave. I'm really enjoying the look of those. So yeah, building this Evo chassis has been great fun. Really enjoyed it. Bit of a step up from the basic model, I think. But all we've got left to do now, obviously, is that big hull cover body. But I think that's enough for part 3 of this build guide. We'll be getting onto the bodywork in part 4. As I always say, thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I hope to see all you guys on the next one. Bye.